Hello, today I'm going to read Rapunzel by Brothers Grimm. There were once a man and his wife who had long wished in vain for a child, until at last it seemed that their wish would come true. At the back of their house was a little window which looked out onto a splendid garden, full of the most beautiful flowers and vegetables, but there was a high wall all around it, and no one dared go inside because it belonged to a witch of great power whom everybody feared. One day the wife was standing at her window, looking down into the garden, when she saw a bed planted with the most lovely rampions. They looked so fresh and green that she began to hanker after some of them to eat. The hankering grew stronger every day, and when she knew that she could get none of them to eat, she began to pine away and look pale and poorly. Her husband was frightened and asked, "What is the matter, dear?" "Ah," she said, "if I don't get some of those rampions out of the garden behind our house to eat, I shall die." The man who loved her thought to himself, "Rather than let your wife die, you must get her some of those rampions, come what may." So in the twilight he climbed over the wall of the witch's garden, hastily grabbed a handful of rampions and took them to his wife. She made them into a salad straight away and ate them with relish. But she enjoyed them so very much that the next day her longing for them was 3 times as great. She would not be content. Her husband must once more climb over the garden wall. So he went down there again. But when he had got over the wall, he was terrified to see the witch standing in front of him. "How dare you," she said, giving him an angry look, "climb into my garden and steal my rampions from me like a thief? You shall be sorry for it." "Oh," he said, "have pity on me, for it was need drove me to it. My wife saw your rampions out of the window, and she has such a longing for them she would die if she could not get some of them to eat." Then the witch became less angry and said, "If things are as you say, then you may take away as many rampions as you wish, but on one condition. You must give me the child that is going to be born. All shall go well with it, and I shall care for it like a mother." In his fear the husband agreed to all this, and as soon as the baby was born the witch appeared, named the child Rapunzel, for that was what the people called rampions in that country, and took it away. Rapunzel grew into the prettiest little girl under the sun. When she was 12, the witch shut her up in a tower that lay in the midst of a dark wood, and had no door and no stairs, only a little window high up at the top. When the witch wanted to go up, she stood at the foot of the tower and cried, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel had splendid long hair, as fine as spun gold, and when she heard the voice of the witch, she undid her plaits, tied them to the window catch at the top, and then the rest of them fell down, 20 ells long, and the witch climbed up by them. And after a few years, it so happened that the king's son was riding through the forest, and came past the tower. He heard singing so sweet that he stopped and listened. It was Rapunzel passing the time in her loneliness by listening to the sound of her voice. The king's son would have liked to climb up to her, and looked for the door to the tower, but there was none to be seen. He rode home, but her singing had touched his heart so, that very day, he went out into the wood to listen to it. Once, when he was standing behind a tree, he saw the witch come and heard her say, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel let down her plaits, and the witch climbed up. "If that is the ladder that leads up the tower, I'll try my luck too," thought he. And the next day, when it began to grow dark, he went to the tower and called, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." At once the plaits came down, and the king's son went up. At first Rapunzel was very frightened when a man came into her room, for she had never seen a man before, but the king's son began to talk to her in quite a friendly way, and told her his heart had been so moved by her singing that it would give him no peace until he had seen her. Then Rapunzel lost her fear, and when he asked her if she would take him for her husband, and she saw that he was young and handsome. She thought, "He will love me more than the old Mistress Gothel," for that was the name of the witch, and said she would, and put her hand in his hand. She said, "I will be glad to go with you, but I do not know how to get down. Every time you come, bring a strand of silk, and I will twist a ladder out of it, and when it is ready, I will climb down it, and you shall take me away on your horse." They agreed then that he should come every evening, for the witch came by day. The old woman noticed nothing of all this, until one day Rapunzel happened to say to her, "Tell me, Mistress Gothel, how is it that you are much heavier to pull up than the young king's son, who is up the tower in a moment?" "Oh, you wretched girl," cried the witch, "what is this I hear? I thought I had kept you apart from all the world, and yet you have deceived me." In her rage she seized Rapunzel's plaits, wound them a few times round her left hand, and snip, snip, she cut them off, and the beautiful hair lay on the ground. And she was so heartless that she drove Rapunzel away into the wilderness, where she had to live in great misery and wretchedness. Now the same day that she sent Rapunzel away, the witch tied the plait that she had cut off to the window catch, and in the evening when the king's son came and called, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair," the witch let down the hair. The king's son climbed up, but at the top he found not his dear Rapunzel, but the witch, who looked at him with angry, spiteful eyes. "Aha!" she cried scornfully, "you have come to fetch your dear wife, but that pretty bird no longer singing in this nest. The cat has caught her, and now it will scratch your eyes out too. You have lost Rapunzel, you will never see her again." The king's son was beside himself with grief, and in his despair he jumped down from the tower. He escaped with his life, but the thorns in which he landed scratched out his eyes. Then he wandered blindly about the wood, eating only roots and berries, and did nothing but cry and sorrow over the loss of his dear wife. So for some years he wandered miserably about until at length he came to the wilderness, where Rapunzel lived with her little twins, a boy and a girl, in wretchedness. He heard a voice that he thought he knew. He went towards it, and when he reached the spot Rapunzel recognised him and fell on his neck and cried. But two of her tears fell into his eyes, so they became clear, and he could see again as well as before. He took her to his kingdom, where he was received with joy, and there they lived happily and contented. The end.
Thank you for listening. Please remember to like and subscribe.